in the sense that it requires at least 2/3 of the members, whether it is a present and voting, whether it is a total assent, we are going to discuss, but it requires 2/3. It means it requires around 67% of the members voting. So managing or governing that 67% is not an easy task, by the way, by any standard. So it is very difficult to handle this special majority, so it is called as a special majority. Now I had given you the example, there are different types of the special majority, and certainly once you keep on moving from type 1 to type 2 to type 3, okay, difficulty or rigidity increases. Okay, type 1 is simple to manage, type 2 bit difficult to manage, and type 3 most difficult to manage. Now, so let us take the example of type 1. For your convenience, I had divided type 1, type 2, type 3, otherwise there is no such classification in our constitution. Just for the sake of understanding, I had divided that, classified that. So at first, the Article 249. Article 249, Center can enact law on the state list if the Rajya Sabha passes that it is in the national interest up to 1 year, but can be extended as many times. Okay. Under Article 249, if Rajya Sabha passes or enact a law, okay, try to understand, once the Rajya Sabha passes a resolution under Article 249 that it is in the national interest to enact law on the subject given under the state list, Parliament can enact law, and that law used to have an effect of 1 year, and it can be extended up to any number of times, but not 1 year at a time. Okay. So I suppose this is well understood. Now try to understand one thing also. As far as the Indian Constitution is concerned, the subjects have been divided into 3 ways. One is the union list, another is the concurrent list, and third one is the state list. So whatever subject comes under the union list, only the Parliament, I am saying only the Parliament has an exclusive right, got that, to enact law on that particular subject. But as far as the state list is concerned, in a general situation, the state legislature has a power to enact law on those subjects like the agriculture, you can say. Now, and there are another list also, that is the concurrent list. On the subject given under the concurrent list, both state and Parliament can enact law. But if there is a clash between the law passed by Parliament and the law passed by the state legislature, okay, the law passed by the Parliament prevails, and up to the extent of inconformity with the Parliament's law, the state law is going to be the null and void. Okay, that used to be the whole scenario here. So in a general situation, only the state legislature can enact law on the subject given in the state list. But here in the case of 249, once the Rajya Sabha passes a resolution that it is in the national interest that Parliament should enact law on the subject given under the state list, certainly the Parliament can do so, and for the passing of such resolution, it requires the special majority, and the special majority of the kind of present and voting. Here you can take the example of 245 members are there, 150 are present, and 2/3 is going to be the 100, okay, and plus 1, that is 101. Now we have another type 2, that is the article 368. Now as far as article 368 is concerned, we have a first type and second type. So article 368 is related to the amendment of the constitution. So 2/3 present and voting and supported by 50% of the total strength of the house. So here, as you know, in the case of Rajya Sabha, 50% plus 1 is 123, okay, 123. So whenever the 2/3 you are counting of the present and voting, it must be above of this 123, otherwise it is not going to be the passed. So there is another condition here, okay, 50% of the total strength, that is the benchmark. The 2/3 present and voting must be beyond 50% of the total strength. Got that? Now, so it is more difficult here in the second type of this article 368. The A condition A remains there, but it requires additional condition that 50% plus 1 of the state assembly ratified by the simple majority. So you have to manage this, and beside that you have to manage this also. You have to get it passed by the state legislature, and 50% of the total state legislature in the country. Like take the example of the National Judicial Appointment Commission, okay, we will discuss later on separately related to it in the once we go through the judiciary and the changes there. Now we have a type 3 here. So once you move from type 1 to type 2, it will be difficult, and from type 2 to type 3 it is most difficult. Okay, the impeachment of the President of India, okay, under article 61, we require 2/3 of the total strength, whether somebody is absent, whether there is any kind of vacancy, whether it is a casual vacancy or regular vacancy, suppose in the Lok Sabha after 5 years, and if it is a casual vacancy, it is related to the death, it is related to the resignation, it is due to some kind of disease, by the way, and it can be due to the ineligibility of that particular person. So this is the case of the casual vacancy. So whether it is a casual vacancy and whether it is a regular vacancy, it hardly matter. So what we require to have a 50%, 2/3 of the total members of the total strength of the house. So once you keep on moving from this to this, it becomes difficult. So under article 368 type A, which requires 2/3 of the person present and voting, and which used to be 50% plus 1 of the total strength also. Okay. So any constitutional amendment act which does not affect the federalism means the relation between the center and state. If it is not going to affect the center and state relation, it requires the type 1 of the 368. Removal of the judges of the High Court and Supreme Court, and the removal of the Chief Election Commission and Comptroller and Auditor General, and approval of the national emergency requires the majority as per the article 368 here, type 1. Type 1 means, again I am repeating, 2/3 of present and voting, but it must be beyond 50% plus 1 of total strength. Okay. So even resolution by the state legislature for creation and abolition of the legislative council under article 169 requires this type. So now once you gone through, you must have understood that some of the provisions of our constitution required simple majority and some of the our constitutional provision required a special majority, and that is 2/3. So it's a admixture of very simple majority and admixture of the very difficult majority, that is the special majority. So Indian constitution is neither flexible nor the rigid, but in between there. Okay. Now we have another classification, that is the federal and the unitary. But now once you say it is a federal, then we have a dual government at the central level and a state level. And in the federal constitution, the central government used to get power from the constitution itself, and even the state used to get power from the constitution itself. Both have its own area of jurisdiction, and they act in a coordinated manner. And as I told you earlier, in the 7th schedule we have a 3 list: union list, a state list and concurrent list. Now you have to understand 100 subjects are in a union list and 61 subject in the state list and 52 subject in the concurrent list. And as far as the federal constitution is concerned, the USA is the you can say the hallmark for the federal constitution. Now perfect example. So another is a unitary means it is a single government, that is at the central level, and central government is the most powerful. So although there are subordinate government at the state level and at the district level, but still you have to understand that ultimately the power given by the constitution is to the central government, and that central government delegates its power to the subordinate government at the state level. So delegation means what? Whenever the central government think that it is fit to take back that power, it can take back. Okay, so the state governments ultimately depends upon wholly on the central government, and that is the case of the UK. Now again you have to understand what are the salient feature of the federal government. There should be distribution of power. Certainly we have a distribution of power between the center and a state here, even in the India. Supremacy of the constitution. Okay, Indian constitution is supreme. No institution, no post or office is above the constitution, or anybody that he or she is manning that particular post or office is above the constitution. Nobody is above the constitution, but we have given the transcendental position to the constitution itself. Next one is the written constitution. So Indian constitution is a written constitution. We have 22 parts and everything is arranged at a proper place. So rigidity of the constitution, certainly even our constitution is rigid. Take the example of the impeachment of the president. Take the example of any provision which is related to the federal structure of the constitution. It requires a special majority, and side by side the ratification by the state legislature also. Next one is the independent and impartial authority of the court. Certainly in India we have a independent and impartial authority of the court. Now, so even all the features of the federal state is there in India, but still Indian constitution is called as a quasi-federation. Why it is called quasi-federation? It is not true federation at least in all practicality. So you have to understand the unitary state, okay, then you can understand how Indian constitution is a quasi-federal. So in a unitary state there is a union of a state. Okay, union of a state means what? Okay, ultimate power lies in the hand of the central government. So here even in India, okay, this first point, at first India has been established or created, and then we have divided the different parts, okay, for our administrative convenience. So power to form the new estate and to change the existing boundary. Under Article 3, Parliament can change, increase, decrease, and side by side change the name of the estate, okay, and it almost Parliament has a exclusive right, although the estate has some saying, but Parliament is not going to bound by that advice given by the state legislature to the Parliament in this case, by the way. So unequal representation in the central legislature. Take the example of Rajya Sabha. We have a different sort of number from in terms of representative from the different state, but the United States we have a 100 member, okay, and 100 member, 2 member from each state, and 50 states are there, so 50 into 2, that is the 100 member, okay. So we have a single citizenship, but in a true federation we have a dual citizenship, okay. In the USA we have a dual citizenship, central citizenship and the citizenship of the state, but in the case of India we have a single citizenship. You are a citizen of India, not the citizen of India or citizen of Assam, citizen of Nagaland, okay. You are a citizen of India, not a citizen of India and the Kerala, okay. So although there is a federation, but it has a unitary bias, it is a little bit tilted towards the unitary government. So we have a single constitution and single citizenship, and more power is given to the central government. So in terms of the qualitative or quantitative, okay, just take the example here, where I had already mentioned here. Let's see. Now we have a 100 subject here, 100 subject in the union list. So in terms of quantity and quality, okay, the union has a lion share, okay. Concurrent list, law enacted by it has a overriding power on the law enacted by the state. Even on the state list, Parliament can enact law. So the union list is open to the Parliament, concurrent list is open to the Parliament, even the state list is open to the Parliament. But in the case of a state, it is only the state list, even it does not have exclusive right here, and in the concurrent list certainly the Parliament's law is going to have a overriding power there. So now take the case of emergency, national emergency. Under Article 352, under Article 356 we have a precedent rule, under Article 360 we have a financial emergency. Once the emergency is declared, a state list comes under the suspension, and the Parliament is going to enact the law. Now, so even the appointment of the governor under Article 155 and 156, as you know, the governor used to be the agent of the central government at the state level, and he used to be the head of the executive at the state level at the same time. So in all practicality, the central used to control the state here, because the governor has a power to reserve bill for the President of India, and once the bill is reserved for the President of India, okay, approval or disapproval in for all practical sense by the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister, okay. Now, so administrative direction under Article 256, the center can give administrative direction to the state, okay, under its jurisdiction, and if the state is not following that particular direction, it led to the constitutional breakdown, and once there is a constitutional breakdown, it is a fit case for the precedent rule in that particular state. So we have a unified judiciary. So any case which is at the subordinate level can be appealed to the High Court, and even the verdict of the High Court can be appealed to the Supreme Court. So, we have a unified judiciary. Now, appointment to the key position like the Chief Election Commission and CAG are being done by the central government only, although through the President of India. But as you know, President of India is just a titular head, okay. It's President of India is just like a rubber stamp, and it is usually being used by the Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers. And as you know, the Chief Election Commission or Election Commission of India not only manage the election of the President, Vice President, Lok Sabha, Raj Sabha, but the state legislature also. So, all India services under Article 312, IAS, IPS and IFS, Indian Forest Service. So, these are all India services. It means they are serving the central and the state government both, okay. Now, so just take the example of the IAS. Whoever is the IAS is used to be at the higher echelons or at the higher hierarchy of administrative setup, and certainly some kind of disciplinary action can be taken by the state government. State government at most can do suspend those all India service personnel, but if there is a decision related to the dismissal of the all India services personnel, it is by the central government only. And take even the state level administrative service administrative setup are being headed by the IS officer or IPS officer or IFS officer, okay. So, as you know, the power to make the law on the subject in the state list, I am giving you some example. Take the example 249, we have already discussed. Under Article 252, if the two or more state request Parliament to legislate on a particular state subject, Parliament can do so, although it is a state subject. So, in some of the cases on the subject given under the state list, Parliament of India can enact law. Take the example of 253, if there is some international agreement and center has to implement those international agreement, and for that purpose if it requires to enact a law on the subject which is under the state list, Parliament can do so, although in a general circumstances the state legislature used to have such power. Now, so Parliament can enacted the law, person and disabilities, equal opportunities, protection of the rights of the full participation Act 1995. Okay. So, Article 356 we have already talked about that. If there is a constitutional breakdown and it came into the cognizance of the President of India, okay, either through the report of the governor or by any other means, in that case Parliament has to pass later on within the 2 months, but the President of India can impose the state emergency, better known as the President rule, and once the President rule is imposed, the state legislature came into the suspended animation up to the 2-month period, and once it is passed by the Parliament also, then it get dissolved, okay. And all the executive power are going to be handled by the governor, and governor acts in accordance with the President of India's direction, and President of India certainly acts in accordance with the aid and advice given by the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister, and certainly the President of India can send it back once for reconsideration, and once after the reconsideration even Council of Ministers act in accordance with the advice given at the time of reconsideration or not. Once second time if it is recommended to the President of India has no other option but to shine on the dotted lines, okay. And just take the example of the central level, okay. Okay. Now try to understand. Government at the central level, as I told you earlier, we have legislature, and what is the legislature here? President, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Judiciary, that is the Supreme Court, as I told you earlier, it pronounced the decision in accordance with the Constitution of India or law enacted by the Parliament of India or the state legislature. And the most important part of this legislature is to enact law, and we have a executive, President, Vice President, then Prime Minister, Council of Ministers, then the Cabinet Secretary. They are part of the you can say transitory executive, because it keep on changing after every 5 years, or it can be in continuity. It all depends upon the verdict given by the people of India. So they are called in Hindi Shashan, and we have secretary, additional secretary, joint secretary, deputy secretary, under secretary, assistant section officer, UDC, LDC, typist and manual workers. Even the government keep on changing, they remains on their post. Okay, only there can be some kind of transfer is possible, but they otherwise remains on their post, and they are called the permanent executive, and in Hindi it is known as Prashashan. That is at the central level. But at the state level, again we have a almost similar kind of structure, Let's see here. So here at judiciary we have the High Court, at the legislature we have Governor, Vidhan Parishad, that is Legislative Council, Upper House, Vidhan Sabha, that is the Legislative Assembly, Lower House. So these three constitutes the legislature. Although Governor is a integral part, but he is not a member of the state legislature. What does it mean? Once you are not a member, you do not have any right to vote. And again we have a executive also here, Governor, who used to be the executive head, then the Chief Minister, then the Council of Ministers, and instead of Cabinet Secretary, here we have a Chief Secretary, and after that we have a different secretaries of the different ministry, then the same hierarchy, additional secretary, joint secretary, deputy secretary, under secretary, assistant secretary, section officer, LDC, UDC, typist, stenographer and PN. So one more thing, there is a third layer also, and so we have a central level, a state level, and the third level, that is the urban local self-government or rural self-government. The panchayat, it is in a part 9 from 243 to 243O. Got that? So it has been added by the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act 1992, and the municipalities, that is 9A from 243P to 243ZZ. Okay, so we have a part within the part. Okay, 74th Constitutional Amendment Act 1992, and the cooperative societies. Okay, this provision has been added into the part 9B. So 9A, 9B from 243 ZS to 243 ZT, ZZ, then after that ZH. Okay, and it has been added by the 97th Constitutional Amendment Act. So I hope you were able to understand today's class, and certainly IQCIVILS is a institution par excellence, catering need of the pan India and particularly to the northeast. Okay, and it has many glories in the past, and it is going to add many glories in the future also. and come and join with us, and certainly be a part of the successful team, and I am one of the part. And okay, with this happy note I would like to sign off. Thank you for being in the class.